Hello, welcome back to the channel. I'm Kaylee for those who don't know. I am so excited for today's video. We're doing a Lunar New Year, Year of the Dragon inspired look. That was so long to say. I was inspired by this beautiful pink dragon I found on Pinterest. Could not find the artist for the life of me. I did like a reverse Google search and could not find the artist. So if you do know who it's by, please leave it in the comments. So I'm Chinese and I love diving into my own culture. So today, along with the makeup, we'll be discussing some of those stories about Lunar New Year. And if your culture celebrates Lunar New Year and you have some stories you'd like to tell, please leave it in my comments. I highly encourage it. So the first legend we have to talk about is the Chinese Zodiac race. So you might already know this, there are 12 animals in the Chinese Zodiac, and each Zodiac corresponds to a different year. And this cycle goes every 12 years and restarts again, kind of like a clock. I am Year of the Rat, which is the first animal in the cycle. We go all the way around, back to pig. The next year again will be rat. So there's many iterations of this story, but I'm going to tell the Jade Emperor version. So the Jade Emperor is a Chinese deity, and on his birthday he called upon the animals to have a race. And this race was basically to determine a measurement of time for humans. So there was more than 12 animals in this race, and the finish line was this very rapid river that they had to cross. So the first 12 to cross the river will become the Chinese Zodiac. So with a plural S. I don't know why I said zodiac. So right now I'm just mapping out some clouds on my eye, and like I said in my other videos, I have a very narrow space on the top of my lid, so I do like to focus a lot of the makeup on this bottom portion of my eye, just because there's more space there. So I dipped my brush in some water and then dabbed it into this water activated eyeliner, and what I was doing was putting it on my hand first like this, and then dabbing into that product a little bit with my finger, and then just kind of creating the shape that I want on my eyelid. So one of the juiciest stories about this race is between the rat, the ox, and the cat. And you might know that in the Zodiac there's no cat. So here's the tea. There basically was a cat and a rat that were neighbors, and the cat would bully the rat all the time, but the rat never really spoke up about it. So when this race was announced, the cat and rat both knew that they weren't good contenders for this because they both weren't good at swimming. They both diligently woke up very early in the morning and waited by the river for the first animal to come by. And that first animal that did show up was the ox. So we know the ox is a very sturdy and strong animal, so it's going to be really easy for it to cross the river. So while the ox was crossing the river, both the cat and the rat hopped onto the ox. Being the gentle giant the ox is, the ox let them ride on its back. So as they were crossing, the rat actually shoves the cat off of the ox and into the water. And we all know how much cats hate water. So the cat was like immediately no, and then didn't end up finishing the race. And I was like, oh, okay. Bye, cat. I guess all those years of bullying really added up. So after that, apparently that's why cats hunt rats, because they hate them because of this Zodiac race. I'm just deepening the blush with this eyeshadow. And then the story gets even juicier, because as the ox is nearing the finish line, almost crossing that river, the rat suddenly jumps off of the ox and crosses the finish line first. And that's how the rat came in first. Because a lot of people are like, what the heck, how does a rat come in first? It's like the smallest, weakest animal. But no, weak in stature, but strong in mind, cunning in game. Because if there was someone who wanted revenge, it's definitely the rat. But also the ox was very kind-hearted, but that could definitely be a flaw in the plan if the ox did not agree to bring the rat across. So this year is the Year of the Dragon, and we're going to talk about the dragon's story. One of the biggest questions we all have is, how the heck did the dragon place 5th? I mean, this is a mythical creature that can literally fly, so it doesn't even need to swim over the river, it can fly. How the heck did it finish 5th? Like, it was beat out by Pipsqueak Rat, pretty solid competitor, ox, tiger, okay, but rabbit, like these animals are coming in kind of random. So not only were we wondering that, the Jade Emperor was also confused. The Jade Emperor was kind of like, what happened to you? Like, what the heck? So when the dragon set out for the race, it actually ended up helping people, and that's why they were late. In some iterations, the dragon actually saved like a town from burning down or something like that, but we kind of get the gist. The dragon was helping someone. So after saving those people, the dragon actually continued on and encountered another situation. But before we continue, I want to tell you about this cute makeup brand. It's called Euphoric Sun. It's a small POC business from United States, and they sell Chinese inspired makeup. For example, this is a Mooncake festival palette. I'm not sponsored by this brand in any way, but I do just want to point it out because we are talking about Chinese history and Chinese culture, and I love sharing brands that do the same. So speaking of which, we're going to these water activated eyeliners for this eye look. So as the dragon was flying over the river, they noticed the rabbit trying to cross, and the rabbit was doing a great job of just hopping on stones, getting across the river, but then the rabbit actually fell into the water. The poor rabbit grabbed onto a log and was holding on for their dear life, when suddenly the dragon came out of nowhere and actually saved the rabbit and blew the log across the river, helping the rabbit finish in 4th, which is 1 place ahead of the dragon. So not only did the dragon save a bunch of people, they also saved the rabbit and helped them place 4th, because who knows, that rabbit could have been a goner. So it turns out the dragon is just a very kind and noble creature. Also, oh my gosh, I totally forgot to say, if you don't know your zodiac, just type your birthday into Google, like full date plus year, and then write Chinese Zodiac, and it'll tell you which animal you are. Now adding detail with these fine tip brushes, also from Euphoric Sun. We all know dogs are great at swimming, and they even have a technique named after them. So it's really confusing how the dog came in 11th. Like the dog finished after a rooster, monkey, and goat. So apparently the dog got there so early and no one else was there, so they decided to take a bath in the river. Like Queen of Unbothered just took a bath in the middle of the race. I really couldn't get over that. I was like, what? Like, you kind of crazy for that one. So that's why dogs are known to be so playful. Makes sense. And then we have the pig, who no one really expected to make to the end anyways. And as the emperor was closing down the race, they heard like an oink sound, and there was the pig. And apparently in some versions, the pig fell asleep at the beginning of the race and then woke up late, and then that's why they were so late. And in some versions, the pig got hungry and then started eating and then fell asleep, and that's why it ended the race so late. So all in all, the pig still made it on the zodiac list, which means it is still a winner. Mind you, animals like the cat never made it. I love how the story is so playful yet has so much symbolism in it. I love how there's so many different views on how you could finish a race, and it's really interesting how the race panned out and how that could represent how different people will finish different tasks or projects. So now I'm just putting a little concealer on my brows. So what is the reasoning behind Lunar New Year? So I never understood why we celebrated Lunar New Year the way we do. Like the customs of like burning crackers, putting up the red signs and everything. Like I never really understood why we did that. There's a monster in ancient times named Nian in Mandarin and Nin in Cantonese, and that word means year. So this monster actually lived in the sea and only came up once a year on New Year's Eve to eat people and livestock. Terrible monster, but not the worst in my opinion, only once a year. I feel like there are some monsters that like eat on the daily, you know what I mean? So every year people would flee to remote mountains to avoid being eaten, but then one day this old man was like, I'm not gonna be eaten, I'm staying in the village. Everyone was like, yikes, no way, we're going to the mountain, you can stay here if you want. So New Year's Day passes and they all come back to the village to find that the village was not destroyed, nothing was eaten, and the old man is still alive. So then they're like, what is this trickery? So he lit candles, pasted red papers on the door, and he also burned bamboo, which turned out to be firecrackers nowadays. And basically he said he scared off the monster. His tactics worked, so they continued doing this every single year, and then the monster never came back. So that's that story. And I still have one last one to tell you. So our last story is about why Chinese people give out red packets. Honestly, I did not know this. I didn't know this until I read the story today. So as a kid, my mom would always give me these red packets to put under my pillow, and I never really understood why. The story involves another demon. Can you imagine these people in the ancient times just like trying to dodge demons left and right? So the demon's name is Sui in Mandarin or Sui in Cantonese, but this demon exclusively terrorizes children. So it is said that the demon comes on New Year's Eve once again. So not only are you trying to run away from a huge monster demon that's eating your village, your kids are also at risk. If this monster touches your kid, they will be too scared to cry out loud, so you won't even know, and then your kid will slowly become mentally unstable. Parents would stay awake at nighttime to protect their children, but that really isn't the best solution. One day this family decided to give their kid 8 coins wrapped in a red piece of paper, and that kept the kid up pretty much all night until they fell asleep, because the coins were really fun to play with. They kept opening the packet and taking the money out and then putting it back in, and on and on and on. But then when the kid finally fell asleep, the parents put the coin with the red packet underneath the kid's pillow, and when that kid was targeted that night by the monster, or demon I should say, the bright coins repelled the demon and the child was safe. So that is why we receive red packets, and that's why we put them under our pillows. So that is the last of the stories, and the look is pretty much done. I do want to finish it off by adding a hua dian at the top of my forehead. Okay, let me reveal the look. This is definitely more a creative route for me, and I'm very proud of the details I put into this. Thank you so much for learning with me today and sharing this time with me. I really appreciate it. If you do like my content, please make sure to subscribe and like this video. Thank you once again for spending this time with me. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye!